Hello and welcome to the Inforunners podcast. I'm Osiris Frost, and to my right is Execute. And today we're joined by Seer the Sixth. Hey Seer, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, guys. Thank you for having me. I'm Seer the Sixth. I run my own little YouTube channel within the Star Citizen community. I talk about ships mostly, and I like doing deep dive analysis using logic. And for my viewers who also watch Inforunners, hello, nice to meet you guys. And I'm just ready to dive in today's topics. What you got for us?
Yeah, what do we got, Osiris? Come on, fill us in.
Okay, all right. Well, today we have I guess you could say, a confluence of topics that have all come together. And one of the things we want to talk about is the impending removal of the $0 CCUs, which is going to take place at the end of this month. May 1st, is that the deadline
Yeah, I think
they gave
so.
us?
I believe so.
And then we're also going to discuss a little bit about the recent changes that were announced to the Starfarer, which is sort of a related topic for reasons we will discuss.
So my welcome, Seer, by the way. And by the way, Seer will be a new guy that's joining us, obviously, but we've also got another gentleman that should join us, and hopefully he'll be on an episode soon as well. So yeah, a few new Inforunners joining us. The $0 CCU situation, they're like, oh, this has been coming for 2 years, blah blah blah. I think it's just more indicative of a trend that we've seen over the last couple of years, where they're becoming a little bit more hostile towards the backers. And my instinct would tell me you would want to give freedom to people so they're more encouraged to spend money. They seem to be taking the route of if we restrict people, they're more likely to buy other ships than options. And I don't understand. Like it doesn't calculate in my head. What are your guys' thoughts on how they're kind of going, like the route they're taking? It seems to be more about blocking us in hopes that we will buy more, and that just doesn't click with me at all.
Well, here, to be fair, I'll play devil's advocate for this route. So
Right.
the way I look at it is with Squadron 42 underway and they're trying to refine the company, it sounds like to me that with like the next coming sale we're gonna have, the anniversary sale, they want new players instead of just getting all these ships, well, these CCUs, you should say, that don't have any value. They want them to at least put some kind of money into the game, which it's going to frustrate a lot of people, but at the same time, it's helped bring in more cash flows to help further back the game. And again, people are not going to be happy with it, but it's like, I would love this game to be done one day, and if this just allows the cash flow necessary to further make sure everything runs smoothly, everyone's getting paid, the studios are up and running, no, how should I say it? Nothing bad's going to happen, then so be it for the most part. For at least the CCU. That's the way I look at it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not happy with it, but I try to look at both sides of it, because in the end, they're a company, they're a business. They have to have some sort of cash flow. They got to please their investors.
I can say that as well. What about you, Osiris?
Well, just kind of picking up on that, we're about, according to the roadmap, we're about a year out from Squadron 42, right? And I think that with this recent angel investor that donated $46 million to the cause, I think it's pretty safe to say at this point that Squadron 42 is going to make it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Yep.
in about a year, maybe a little bit more than a year, CIG is going to have that revenue stream other than pledge ships that is going to sustain the company and pay employee salaries and overhead and all that.
Yep.
So I think that at this point, when we're not, back in the early days of the Kickstarter, you can't really look at this as something that might fail, and on that basis, you can't resort to what appear to be desperate measures to squeeze money out of backers who have funded the game successfully to this point.
I think my only addition to what you gents have both said would literally go along the line of devaluing people's purchases. And what I mean by that is, if you reshuffle your fleet now, you often get punished for it. I've lost about $200 in reshuffling my ships around. That they've just, to the point that if I asked for a refund because I'm from Australia, they wouldn't actually give me what I'd spent. They'd give me what it is now worth. I've just lost that $200, and that disturbs me. What if I buy something, who are they to digitally? It's like an artificial stock exchange. They've just gone, oh, no, it's not worth what you paid for it. It's a digital product. It should be the same price. It shouldn't change.
There's one more thing, if I could just piggyback on that it occurs to me that CIG's pricing mechanism is entirely opaque to the people who are financing the project, right? Like internally, CIG may have some logic as to when and how ships go up in price or they change relative to one another. But you and I find out about it at the anniversary sale once the ship that we were going to pledge for jumped up in price by $75. Surprise. And it's just one example of how CIG keeps all of this information that we need as backers to make decisions about our fleet well close to their chest. And they don't tell us anything. And that makes these things sting that much more.
Well, it also makes me think of how they even price ships. So this is going to sound like a small tangent, but I had a school teacher when I went to school, and he said, he was talking about how he marks grades, and he goes, I don't mark your grades. What I do is I just grab the entire pile, I throw them up in the air, and the ones that hit the ground first get A's, right? I almost feel that's how they do pricings for the ships in this game, because we are getting wildly different ship prices that just don't make sense. Like, why is the Terrapin only $5 cheaper than a Star Runner?
Yeah.
Why is there a bombing vessel that costs almost $900? Like, yet the default variant of it is only $300. Why is it 3 times the price, but not 3 times the ship? I feel the marketing department at CIG has way too much power, like it does at a normal publisher, and I don't know if that's because Sandy's driving the ship and she's the boss's wife, and so it has... I think they need... I don't know how to say it, because Sandy's actually a really nice person, but I just think they need to let go of the reins a little bit. One of the things that really disturbed me was in an ATV recently. They were talking about how the advertising people, I've just forgot the name, this has left my head. The marketing people. The marketing people were actually affecting the design of ships, and I was like, what? Like, that they should have nothing to do with the design of ships. That is what happens in the real world, as in with publishers and stuff, and it always ends badly because they are not designers. Fundamentally, hey, I'm a mini designer and this sounds cool. That's backseat designing. That's literally what everything we talk about with what backers do, the marketing people are doing. That's really bad. And they're not even fans, so it's even worse. It's like walking up to a random guy on the street and go, hey, would you like to make a couple of several $1,000 spaceship? And, like, remember in The Simpsons, and Homer makes that wild, crazy car? It's akin to that. So it's just, I find it really bizarre and out there, and I don't understand why they're doing that. There's a lot that just doesn't make sense about this entire subject.
So what would you guys propose if you were CIG and you've been taking all this flack from the community, and I think rightfully so up to this point? What are some steps that you would take to sort of repair these bridges that
didn't you hear?
Been burning?
The boss said we can take 3 weeks off. Didn't you hear that? Like, we don't even have to do ATV for 3 weeks. It's great. Wish we could do that.
The whole community program with them.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, we did a show on that, and literally they turn around and go, "Oh yeah, that's our response. We just won't do shows for 3 weeks." Like a total slap in the face.
It seems like there is some petulance there, but I don't want to keep twisting the knife here. Like, I think we've made our point. I know that I have some thoughts on what CIG could do to kind of make this right, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that first.
I'll let Seer go first. He hasn't talked in a bit.
Well, again, I already stated my views on it, but if anything they should fix, and I've seen this, well, execute, you bring up a great point. I've seen this before, and when I was watching the Starlifter Q&A, and when they were doing the whole thing showing like how they made the design and all the reworks they've done, the one thing that stood out the most was the fact that everything had to go through Chris Roberts himself, and he kept pushing them back, saying, "Nope, nope, it needs this," and they, you could tell the people who were making the ship were getting a little frustrated. It's like,
Mm.
well, I don't get me wrong, I nothing against Chris Roberts. Yeah, obviously he made this game possible, and he's still in the works of doing it. But it comes to me like, shouldn't he just be the spokesman for Star Citizen and not be making these kind of decisions?
I think
I
he's got.
mean, like,
I'm gonna go devil's advocate, as you called it
that's
earlier.
okay.
I actually think over the time he's got more and more lax. I think he actually has like, I think his brother Aaron definitely loosened him up
Right.
quite a fair bit over the years. But I do think when he if something is wrong or something that he sees as wrong, he will definitely call it. And I actually think his direction is kind of needed, but that's just my personal perspective.
No. I totally agree that he is needed, but again, what this is all going towards is the fact that I feel like there should be people who are not like directly family that should be running the company for them, while they just, if there's any, if just in case people like fall off track, they just set them straight, and instead of just being over everything, like you guys said with what Sandy Gardner has done. In that sense, it's like,
Yeah,
go
but
ahead, go
I'm
ahead.
not even
I'm sorry.
sure it's Sandy anymore. Like, they have multiple marketing people now. I just think the marketing
Correct.
people have too much power. Like, they almost sound like they don't operate with Chris's oversight. They operate with Sandy's, and I actually think it almost needs to go through Chris in a weird way, because
I see your point.
I
Okay.
don't think he would let them dictate as much, and it almost, as I said, it sounds like they're backseat designing, and it's really bad. And I, like, when John Crew mentioned that, I was just mortified. I was like, well, that was a massive red flag for me, and I haven't heard a red flag like that in a really long time, especially from the design side of things. But yeah, Osiris, come on, spit it out.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat it because I think it's the key to this whole thing. I think CIG needs to radically overhaul their standard of when a nugget of information is ready to be disseminated to the community. And it needs to be disseminated at a much earlier step than they're apparently comfortable with at present releasing it. Even if it changes, like, we're all adults, we can handle disappointment if you tell us something and then you change it. I'd much rather have more information up front, and that way I can try to make informed decisions about how I want to allocate my pledge dollars. And that's the other half of my recommendation is, like Execute said earlier, you got to let me reallocate my pledge dollars as new ships become available. Don't create obstacles to that. I have supported this project. Many of us have supported this project since the beginning, and we are spend way more money on JPEGs than we ever should have.
Yeah,
And
I'm hearing talk from more people than ever before about just exiting stage left, like just bailing completely, to the point that I, like, people that I thought were really hardcore backers that are just, and I'm talking people that are like 20k in type of thing, that are just packing up shop and leaving. And they're like, I'll just get a starter pack and I'll come back to this ship this all later. There are a lot of people realizing they've overspent. But this all this has come through because they've started this lockdown mentality, and it's, people are kind of waking up and thinking about other stuff and stuff. They're doing way more damage than I think they realize. It's having like a cascading effect. I'm hearing talks in orgs of the entire org going, "Oh, we've got 42 endeavors. We've only got 12 people." So they're like, so they're starting to offload stuff. They're now looking at their fleet as an org, not just as an individual person, and going, shit, we've got way too many ships. And now they're going, all right, well, you keep this and I'll keep that. And and they're downsizing. And the funny thing is, I don't know about you, but if I want to go buy a ship and I want to save money, I'll go look at the black market before I even talk to CIG. And that's just not me. That's just people that are savvy shoppers, and we live in that type of time period where people, I think, at this point in time, are far more likely to turn to the certainty of the black market than turn to the uncertainty of CIG. And the black market is because they made these ships an artificial rarity. And I think the only way that they're going to turn this all around, like with the $0 CCUs, their whole thing is saying, it's the system's being exploited. If you don't want the system to be exploited, let people have freedom of movement and basically make all the ships have LTI. If you spend any dollars on a ship, it should have LTI. And I'm an original backer from way back when, so I'm not. If there's anyone else that's turning around going, but it's meant to be exclusive for blah blah blah. No, stuff that shit. If you put money into the game, you should have that reassurance you're never going to lose it.
Yeah, just think about what the black market represents, right? It represents you can get whatever ship you want whenever you want it, and there's total transparency in pricing.
And there are people on there that are exploiting other people. It is on the black market. There are bad things about the black market.
Sure, you can't be stupid about it, but it's a better opportunity than waiting for CIG to decide that you can have this ship again.
Yeah, it's come out of a necessity though that they've created. They've.
I absolutely agree. Like one of the things that I remember happening at the beginning of the year was like, oh cool, I got a bonus from work, and let's see, I wanted to buy like 1 or 2 ships, and I said, hey CIG, can I have the Vulcan? I'm sorry, not the Vulcan, but the Vulture, and I would like something for salvaging, because I knew that was eventually going to be something that would be allowed. Well, excuse me, not allowed, but provided in the game in the future. So, and they said, no, not right now. Sorry, we'll come back at a later time, basically. And I was like, okay, fine. Went to the gray market, found an LTI Vulture, and I just bought it right up. And I was like, well, shoot, CIG wouldn't give it to me. I get the ship I want, just CIG doesn't get my money.
That's another.
Exactly.
That's in a nutshell, man. Like if people have got money, they may have money then, but they don't have money exactly when CIG wanted to spend it. It's biting the hand that feeds, and it makes no sense. There is just so many things. Like it's getting repetitious of just this. Why are you doing it that way? And on paper, I can see why they did it from the outset. But that was then, and there is now. And one of the things that Osiris also said before the show is their whole methodology at the moment is if anything goes wrong, just stay silent until it goes away.
To chime off on that, so speaking of something going wrong, how about the Starfarer going wrong? Like everything we knew about it, with that whole, I wouldn't say everything we knew about, but especially the fuel refinery changes.
Oh,
what are you guys' thought on that?
Starfarer was one of the very first ships I brought, and I want to get rid of it. Like it's gone from one of the coolest ships to one of the worst in just a very short amount of time. And I also question design decisions like, why are all the resources in the game coming from miners? Like all the valuable resources coming from miners. So basically, the Orion, it's increased the value of the Orion just out of sight. If it can, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
It's not just that weird design decision, but it's also that. I don't want to say fraud, right? I mean, CIG
wasn't their intention. It wasn't their intention.
It's development.
Yeah.
They say it's development, and everything is subject to change, right? And technically, this is covered under that. But like, I wouldn't sleep well at night if I made this sort of decision, right? Like, you sold people a Starfarer, and one of the explicit things you said it could do was refine quantum fuel, and now you said just kidding. After people have bought and paid for that shit.
Actually, it still can refine quantum fuel. It just can't gather quantum the resources to make it. So basically, their fix for that is that you'll be able to get a tool that you can EVA out and grab some. So that's basically taking it from the Starfarer level all the way down to a Vulture level of like hand salvaging. That is scary.
It's just another hostile to the backers sort of move. Yeah. Like people bought the ship thinking it was going to do X, and now that was just yanked out from under him.
My fix that, like he said, he didn't want to turn it into a really big miner or whatever. But my fix for that is, what if you take off the fuel scoop for the hydrogen, and there's some kind of other scoop or something that you can put on the front that allows you to mine just quantum nodes or something like that. I don't know. Again, we don't know the full gameplay mechanics behind it, but to have changed it from gas to from changing from gas to whatever they've changed it to, I really question that. Like, where did that come along? Was it always going to be gas, and then all of a sudden someone's gone, hey, this should be a mining node? Or they've gone, like, why would you have quantum gas? It would be like, is he wanting to go down the dilithium Star Trek crystals route? Is that his thought process? It sounds like it's a lore thing, not a gameplay. He's made the decision from lore, not design, and I think that's the problem. But I guess we'll wait and see. Maybe he'll backtrack. You never know.
Let's hope. But at least, like, one thing I've always tried to follow is lore, and I think lore and design should coincide from each other from the beginning, not end up contradicting themselves. But either way, backtracking just a tiny bit to the mining, raw materials is like the baseline for like any civilization. You need raw materials. So like to try to like be a little optimistic about it, let's not forget there's the Orion, and then you have the Prospector. This gives people who can afford the Orion but have a Prospector the opportunity to make more money rather than just mining and reprocessing. You can go mine, reprocess the ore, put it in the Starfarer, and then you'll go still be able to refuel people with the quantum fuel. You just can't gather it yourself. But one of the things I firmly believe CIG should do is kind of like with the Constellation Phoenix, where you buy the ship comes with a small vehicle, and they should make, like, I don't know, like, the Argo SRV, they need to make a small mining version of it so you can just pop out the back hatch, because I think you fit like 3 or 4 cyclones in the back easily. Just pop that little sucker out the back and go mine real quick and bring it back in and refine the fuel, and then go do it yourself. At least give people with like the Starfarer or the Starfarer Gemini that kind of accessibility. Don't leave them hanging up to dry and then just make them bitter and just not want the ship altogether. At least give them a different option if you're going to suggest this is what they're going to do.
Was it you that mentioned it about the actually you were saying Minion Soldier mentioned it, Osiris, the thing about the
he made a comment in a video like last week, and I don't know if this is true, but it seems plausible the way that CIG makes decisions sometimes. That he was talking about like some internal meeting at CIG where somebody showed off this new art asset with all kinds of particle effects or whatever, and then they just had to figure out what to do with it. So the fact that asset existed could drive the design of this thing. I thought it was kind of funny how he spelled it out. I don't know if it was true or not, but who knows? Who knows? Because CIG doesn't tell us anything.
Yeah. They ever since, like, I knew when they were going to start locking down information, and that was way back when there was a controversy with the freelancer windscreen. You can actually look this up. And basically these backers were harping, and they were a very vocal minority about the view on it, and they were basically saying it needs to be this way, and Chris Roberts was like, no, that won't work. And they spent a whole day or 2 days redoing it, and then they showed it to the backers, and the backers were like, oh yeah, right, it doesn't work. And then ever since then, the pennies just dropped in their head, and they don't share as much. They were sharing everything up until that point. Concepts, everything they were doing on a daily basis, almost akin to sitting there watching a live stream. They weren't, but they were showing so much stuff. But ever since then, they're just like, oh, we can't show them anymore because they're backseat developing and they don't know what they're talking about. And I was there at the time going, shut up! Shut up! But, what can you do? People are their own worst enemy. So, yeah.
Well, do you guys have any other thoughts on the matter? I mean, I think we've kind of talked it out, and I think we're all in agreement here.
I just feel really sad. I'm hating talking about this negative stuff so much, but I just want a positive outcome. I'm hoping they hit the $0 CCUs and they go, oh yeah, by the way, you guys can just get whatever you want. It really needs to be open up. I think you'll find people will spend more money, not less. Like, their whole thinking is, though, if I've got $1,000 and I can just keep switching that $1,000 around, fair enough. But the other part of it is, if you look at it from the other point of view, if it's opened up and I can test this ship, and this ship, and they go, oh, hang on, I like that ship, and oh, now I like this ship. It's the same thing where one of the reasons I like playing the PTU is you get to try out all the ships. And I try them out, and I go, oh, I'm going to have to buy that now, and oh, I'm going to have to buy that now.
Yep.
You know, where the as you said earlier, you're pretty much just buying JPEGs. And until you can actually tangibly try them out, and at the moment, yeah, we only are just flying them. But if you just happen to like the look of them a lot more, you will buy them. It's that simple. And I've talked to several people that have got PTU access, and their expenditure has gone up because they've been able to test out ships. So,
yep.
I just want some more positivity. CIG, please give us some positivity. I'm hoping when they come back after their little hiatus, we hear some good news.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. I'm ready. I'm really ready for 3.6. 3.5. I've been playing the PTU for the past like 2 or 3 weeks now. It's fun, but I'm looking forward to things like the Vanguard changes and stuff, and things rather than planets. I'm looking forward to the more gameplay features that will be coming down the line. So I say we all just be patient. I'm pretty sure they got a lot of things planned for us for this upcoming year 2019, and eventually when the anniversary sale comes around, you know, that's a whole new ball of wax with
I think we're going to see
ships.
I think we're going to see a lot of ships increase in price this year, just on the back of what they've been doing.
Absolutely.
It looks like you're a big fan of the Sentinel anyway. So.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love the Sentinel. I love all the Wardens, but out of all the Wardens I love all the Vanguards, but out of all the Vanguards, the Sentinel is what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, don't worry. There's so many words in there, I get confused as well.
Well, that seems like a good place to call it. Also, because Zoom's about to kick us out in a minute here. Yep. So, if you like this video, please leave a comment. Feel free to join us on Discord. Yeah, so I've been Osiris Frost.
I'm Execute.
This has been Execute.
I'm Seer the 6th.
Thanks for watching.
Next time. Bye.